You're not failing to manifest because you're doing something wrong. You're failing to manifest because you're doing too much of what isn't needed, and almost none of it is your fault. You've been taught to chase your desires the same way you've been taught to chase success, love, or safety, through effort, repetition, and action. But the quantum field doesn't work like that. It doesn't respond to effort, it responds to alignment. And alignment is the exact opposite of forcing. The universe isn't listening to your effort, it's listening to your signal. And when your signal is muddled by desperation, overthinking, control, or expectation, the field doesn't know what to materialize. Not because you're unworthy, not because you're blocked, but because the energy you're emitting is chaotic, not clear. So here's the first truth no one told you. The quantum field is conscious, not in the way you're used to thinking. It doesn't judge, compare, or analyze. It reflects, it mirrors. It adjusts to what you are, not what you ask for. And what you are isn't defined by your vision board or how often you repeat affirmations. It's defined by how calm your energy is beneath the surface, by how deeply you trust what you can't yet see, by how willing you are to feel like it's already yours, without proof, without guarantees, without anything to cling to. And that's where most people falter, not their reality, but their vibration. Because the moment doubt appears, the moment discomfort surfaces, the moment the timeline feels too quiet, they try to fix it. They push harder. They overcompensate. They cling to rituals, signs, and numbers, trying to control what was never meant to be controlled. They think, if I do more, maybe the universe will notice me. Maybe the field will answer. But the quantum field doesn't respond to noise. It responds to harmony. And resonance isn't loud. It's steady. It's the silent signal of alignment that says, I'm not waiting for it. I already am it. The shift happens not when you visualize perfectly, but when your body, breath, and energy settle into the knowing that there's nothing left to chase. That's when your frequency turns magnetic. Because it's not full of want, it's full of presence. You might think, but I need to desire it. Isn't desire the engine of creation? Yes and no. Desire is the spark, but need is static. When you crave something so deeply that you can't rest without it, your energy screams it's not here. And the quantum field, conscious as it is, tunes to exactly that. This is why so many manifestations stall at 99%. You feel it, you see it, you're so close you could taste it, but then, nothing. Why? Because just before it materializes, your signal wavers, you lose coherence. Doubt creeps in, and the field with perfect precision mirrors that shift. So the real secret isn't to manifest harder, it's to stay unshaken, not numb, not idle, but rooted, trusting, steady, because from that space, your frequency becomes legible, clean, sharp. The field doesn't need to guess, it knows, and it answers. This isn't something you muscle your way into, you soften your way into it, and softening isn't surrender, it's allowing. It's the art of releasing the version of you that's always reaching and embracing the version that's already aligned, already magnetic, already home. So maybe the question isn't, how do I manifest faster? Maybe it's what part of me is still forcing what I could be flowing into. Because if the quantum field is conscious, and it is, then it senses exactly what frequency you're on, and it isn't tricked by words. It isn't moved by rituals. It only reflects what you are. This is the real work, not to grow louder, but to grow clearer. Not to push harder, but to trust more. Not to manifest through force, but through alignment. You've tried to bend the field before. We all have. But what if you didn't have to? What if the game changed the instant you stopped broadcasting chaos and began radiating calm? That's what we'll explore next. Can I show you how? Let me show you what no one else is teaching. When you send a desire from a place of chaos, urgency, or inner conflict, the field doesn't heed the thought itself. It responds to the quality of your presence. And presence isn't measured by how fixated you are on the outcome. It's measured by how steady your frequency is, without needing the outcome to appear. This is what no one told you. You don't manifest through attention. You manifest through regulation. Not nervous system regulation in the clinical sense, though that matters, but vibrational regulation, inner steadiness, emotional coherence, energetic integrity. Simply put, the quieter your energy becomes, the stronger your signal gets. The field doesn't reflect your words. It reflects your tone, not your voice tone, your frequency tone. And when that tone is heavy, shaky, or charged with longing, it doesn't say, "I want this." It says, "I don't trust it." And the quantum field, which operates on resonance, returns exactly what it receives. Think of it this way. If your vibration is an antenna, then every time you worry, doubt, or obsess over the how, you start switching stations. You're tuning away from the song you want and into static. Not because you're bad at manifesting, but because no one taught you that clarity comes from stillness, not strategy. So what does it mean to be still? It doesn't mean passive. It doesn't mean emotionless. It means your system is no longer leaking frequency. It means you're no longer chasing your desire with a vibration of lack. It means your signal has stopped sending mixed messages, and that's when the field receives it clearly, cleanly, without contradiction. This is also why so many people find manifestation exhausting, because they spend hours trying to emit the right thought, the right feeling, the right ritual, all while vibrating the opposite internally. They're saying, "I have it," while radiating, "I don't." They're declaring, "It's done," while emotionally signaling, "I hope this works." But the field is conscious, not like a mind, like a mirror, and it doesn't grant what you request. It collapses what you are. This is where quantum manifestation reveals itself to be deeply honest, even spiritual. Because you can't trick a conscious field. You can't bypass your own frequency. You can only align with the reality you claim to want or not. So what does alignment actually feel like? It feels like calm anticipation. It feels like quiet certainty that needs no proof. It feels like acting, speaking, and moving from a place of already mine, not to convince yourself, but because nothing else makes sense anymore. It feels like trusting the invisible so deeply that you stop needing the visible to confirm it. When you're in that state, you don't chase the outcome. You don't even try to hold the frequency. You become the frequency. And from that moment on, life doesn't shift because you willed it. It shifts because it no longer has a reason not to. The quantum field isn't holding your desires hostage. It's holding them in place, waiting for you to match them. Not in your words, but in your energy. Not in your logic, but in your alignment. Not in your timeline, but in your steadiness. And here's the most misunderstood part of it all. Forcing doesn't just block the signal. It blocks your ability to receive. Because the moment you try to control the how, you shrink the path of possibility. You take a limitless field and shrink it to your own narrow view of how things should unfold. But the quantum realm doesn't follow your schedule. It follows your signal, and when that signal becomes quiet, grounded, and perfectly clear, that's when things speed up. Not because you force them to, but because the field has no other choice. You're no longer broadcasting possibility. You're broadcasting reality. So the invitation is simple, not to do more. Not to vibrate louder, but to tune in deeper. To listen to your own frequency as closely as you expect the universe to. And to sense when you're emitting noise, and choose instead to return to clarity. Because here's the secret. No one tells you the field doesn't just hear what you say. It knows when you finally stopped waiting. And that's when it arrives. Not as a reward, but as a match. Most people think manifestation happens in the future, that it's the result of something they do now. But in the quantum field, there is no later. There is only now. And if your frequency is always set to soon, the field will reflect that forever. Because soon isn't a timeline, it's a signal. And if you're vibrating almost there, then almost is exactly what you'll get. So when does manifestation actually happen? Not when you convince yourself it will. Not when you say the perfect words or visualize in perfect detail. It arrives the moment your energy stops arguing with your vision. The moment you become a clear channel for what you've been broadcasting. The moment the quantum field, aware as it is, feels no more resistance in you. It happens without force, and it often slips in quietly. Not as a miracle from above, but as a timeline you barely noticed you'd stepped into. Because the version of you that receives what you've asked for, they don't wait for proof. They are the proof. This is where so many people get confused. They think letting go means giving up. But letting go isn't about releasing the desire. It's about releasing the need. It means no longer clutching the outcome so tightly that your vibration becomes stiff, tense, and unclear. It means trusting that the field isn't ignoring you. It's simply waiting for a stable signal. Think of the field like a tuning fork. If your energy vibrates with uncertainty, anxiety, or obsession, it can't align with the reality you want, no matter how badly you want it. But the moment you stabilize in the frequency of "I'm already living it," you create resonance. That resonance collapses potential into experience. Not as a favor, as a law. And what does that look like? It looks like moving through your day with quiet certainty. It looks like taking inspired action without needing it to work out. It looks like smiling at the idea of your manifestation before it even arrives, because you no longer depend on it to feel aligned. It looks like inner peace before the outer proof. It looks like living inside the vibration, not counting days for results. Because here's the truth. Quantum manifestation doesn't reward effort. It responds to identity. And your identity isn't who you claim to be. It's who you're being, moment by moment. So how do you make that shift? You stop chasing. You stop waiting. You stop rehearsing your future, like it's a play you're barred from joining. And instead, you step into it, through vibration, through coherence, through choosing to feel, think, and act like the version of you who's already there. This is what Neville meant with "assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." This is what Joe Dispenza meant by "to change your reality, you must become someone new." This is what Abraham meant with "let go of the oars, and the current will carry you." They were all pointing to the same truth. You can't receive what you're not aligned with, and alignment isn't something you force, it's something you allow. So ask yourself, what would it feel like if it were already here? Not what would you do, but what would you feel? Would you still be refreshing the page, seeking signs, trying another method, or would you simply rest in the energy of certainty, ease, and presence? Because that's where the collapse happens. That's where the quantum answers. When you're no longer acting aligned, but being it. When you no longer vibrate, "I hope this works," but emit, "This is me now." And that shift, it's silent. So silent it doesn't need proof. So silent most miss it, because they're still waiting for something loud, but the field hears it instantly. Because true coherence has a silence that's unmistakable. So maybe this isn't about manifesting something. Maybe it's about becoming someone. And maybe the version of you who's already made the leap isn't far away. Maybe they've just been waiting for you to tune in. In the next section, we'll break the cycle of holding the frequency one moment and losing it the next. We'll dive deeper into sustaining the shift and what it means to build a life that reflects your alignment. Instead of endlessly chasing it, let's move forward. There's a reason you keep slipping out of the frequency, even after feeling so aligned. It's not because you're weak, it's because you've been wired to survive, not to surrender. And for most people, surrender feels unsafe. You've spent years believing control is power. That action equals progress. That planning, fixing, adjusting, always adjusting, is what keeps you safe. But in the quantum realm, control isn't power. As Joe Dispenza once said, when you're living in survival, you're predicting the future based on the past. That's not creation. That's repetition. Let that sink in. Every time you fall out of alignment and start grasping again, thinking one more practice will unlock the door, you're not creating your future. You're replaying your old emotional pattern. You're transmitting doubt, disguised as effort, and the field, conscious and precise, reads it perfectly. So how do we stabilize this frequency? How do we stop slipping back into old patterns, even when our heart knows better? It starts with understanding this. The field doesn't just respond to your moment of alignment, it responds to your sustained embodiment. Think of coherence like tuning a violin. You might hit the right note once. That's your meditation, your affirmation, your moment of clarity. But if you don't maintain the string, the pitch drifts, not because you failed, but because energy follows your attention. And when your attention returns to doubt, to time, to results, your vibration follows. That's not self-sabotage. It's physics. This is where Neville Goddard's wisdom becomes more than poetic. He said, "Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live." He wasn't talking about surface-level self-esteem. He meant state of being. Becoming the version of you who doesn't wonder if it's coming, because they're already living it. Replacing intellectual belief with vibrational consistency. But this doesn't happen in one breakthrough. It happens in the 1,000 small choices you make each day. When your old self says, "Check if it's working," and you say, "No, I trust the field." When your mind says, "Push harder," and your body says, "Breathe deeper." When your energy says, "Force it," and your soul says, "Anchor in." That's when you shift from effort to steadiness. That's when the timeline you've been waiting for stops being a vision and becomes a frequency you step into. Abraham Hicks called this the art of receiving. They said you don't need to figure it all out. You just need to allow. Allowing isn't passive, it's intentional. It's an energetic yes that says, "I'm ready now," not when it arrives, now. And the quantum field hears that. That's why people who try less often manifest more. Not because they care less, but because they hold less resistance. They've stopped pleading. They've stopped testing. They've stopped demanding proof from the universe. Because when the signal clears, it becomes undeniable. So if you catch yourself slipping again, good, it means you're noticing. It means you're close enough to sense the difference between strain and flow. It means your nervous system is waking to a new way of being. And in that moment, the strongest move is to pause, not react, not correct. Just pause and breathe. Feel the old pattern rise and choose not to engage. Feel the fear surge and let it pass without clinging. Feel the pull to chase and root back into your center instead. Because that moment, that subtle inner shift, tells the field, something has changed. And the field, aware as it is, meets you there. So here's your invitation. Simple, potent, instant. Drop this phrase below if it lands. I trust the field. Say it not to manifest. Say it to declare you've stopped grasping. Say it to match your words to your energy. Say it because it's already yours. And in the next section we'll close the loop, not with another tactic, but with the truth that mastery is a resonance, not a technique, and you were never meant to fight your way ahead. You were meant to tune your way back. Ready? You've heard the lessons, you've tried the tools, you've pictured the results, but maybe what you've needed all along isn't another method. It's a deeper knowing. Remember, you're not here to beg for reality to change. You're here to realize you are the one who changes it. Not through force, but through frequency. And that frequency stabilizes the moment you refuse to collapse back into struggle. The moment you stop proving your worthiness and start living it. The moment you stop asking, "How do I get it?" and start asking, "How can I settle into it more fully?" This isn't just manifestation. This is true sovereignty. Because when you stop forcing the quantum field to respond, it finally hears you. Not because you earned it, but because you matched it. You've stopped screaming. You've stopped doubting. You've stopped bargaining with time and circumstance. and you've started sending out clarity. That's what shifts timelines. You move from being the seeker to the source. You stop trying to control and start allowing with intention. You no longer ask, when will it come? You ask, how can I embody the version of me who's already there? And the universe, quiet, intelligent, precise, answers through resonance. It rearranges things in ways your mind couldn't predict. It moves people, ideas, opportunities, and synchronicities into place effortlessly. Not because you made it happen, because you attuned to it. And that magnetic version of you, they're not in the future. They're one choice away, one breath away, one quiet, unwavering yes to yourself away from stepping forward and saying, wait, I'm done acting like I'm waiting for my dreams. I'm ready to be them. Because once you root yourself in the energy of already, you stop chasing. You stop pretending. You stop holding the vibration like it's temporary. You just exist in it, like it's where you belong, because it is. The old way taught us to manifest through control. But this path, your path, is about manifesting through alignment, through presence, through inner quiet. And that quiet, it's not passivity, it's strength. The kind of strength that doesn't need to fight, because it already knows its home. So here's the truth. You don't need another ritual. You don't need another sign. You don't need another outside validation. You just need your own permission to stop trying so hard, to stop overcorrecting, to stop sending the field mixed signals with scattered energy, and to start broadcasting one unwavering truth. I am here. I am ready. I am this, now. That's the frequency that opens doors. That's the vibration the field has been waiting for. And that's the space where reality shifts, not because you demanded it, but because you finally became clear enough for it to meet you. So if this stirred something in you, if something loosened, shifted, or clicked, then subscribe. Not out of obligation, but because you feel this space matches where you're ready to stand, and you're not here to chase anymore. You're here to know. Let's keep walking this frequency together.